Top of the morning to you. Welcome to Sports This Morning. And we begin the show today in just a moment with a whole lot of sports. We're going to run the whole gamut for you. And our headlines begins with the Nigeria Professional Football League with mouth-watering fixtures across the country in match day 30 of the fixtures. We also have for you Raheem Sterling and Harry Kane scoring in the final 15 minutes to earn Gareth Southgate's men a last 8 berth at the Euro 2020 tournament. But we'll begin with Serena Williams' dreams of winning an 8th Wimbledon singles title and equaling Margaret Court's Grand Slam record of 24, ending in tears as she retired injured at Wimbledon. Thanks for joining us again. Top of the morning to you, as the Irish will say, but in whatever phrase or language, it means good morning. And our full intention is to be a companion for the next 60 minutes, bringing you the best of the world of sports. I'm Olumide Macaulay. Now, we're going to start by visiting with Wimbledon, where Serena Williams had to limp out of court in tears after a right leg injury forced her retirement early in a first-round match against unseeded Belarusian Alexandra Sasnovich. Now, the American 6th seed, a 7-time champion, bidding for a record equaling 24 Grand Slam singles crown, was clearly in pain. We'll be showing you that in just a moment. Early in the first set, as you can see, she's limping already. And the court being slippery didn't help matters at all. Now, joining me on the program this morning, riding shotgun, is sports analyst Damiloju Saliu. You're welcome to the show.
Good morning, Olumide. It's good to be back on Sport this morning.
It's good to have you.
Thank you so much.
And not feeling very good yesterday was Serena Williams. She probably wanted to go out, if at all she had to go out, in a blaze of glory. But she went out in a whimper because of that injury.
It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. You mentioned earlier how she's chasing an 8th title at Wimbledon and then looking to equal Margaret Court's record of 24. And she started the game really well. It was 3-1 in the first 4 games. She was a break-up, and at that point, her right ankle rather started to flare up. You can see that she has something on her thigh. So it shows that her right leg is not 100%. And then she lost the next 2 games, taking it to 3-3. But she was serving in the 7th game, and at 15-all, you just saw her crumble on the court to her knees. And it's the most distraught I've seen Serena Williams in a really, really long time, because you get the feeling that the chance is slipping away now for number 24. And if this is her final appearance at the All England club, it should have been better than retiring in the first round against an unseeded player.
It shows a lot of pluck on her part, a lot of heart in the first place, because she obviously went into that tournament with that injury, and but she succumbed to it at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think a lot of us know how the love story between Serena Williams and Wimbledon. She's a very fierce competitor. She's one of those players that, except it's absolutely impossible, she would always want to be at the tournament. And of course, her sister was able to win her own game, but for Serena Williams, it has been very, very unlucky for her. I believe that, aside the injury, she definitely would have beaten Sasnovich, but hopefully she can shake this off, and let's hope that in 2022 we'll see Serena Williams at the All England club.
What do you think of Sasnovich's chances, though?
Well, I mean, Serena Williams appears to be in the top half of the draw, where Ashley Barty is also in there. And we know Ashley Barty is a fantastic competitor. She has a few tricky matches, but I mean, we've seen, especially on the WTA tour, we seem to always get shockers. But I won't hold my breath for Sasnovich. I just think the fact that she's been able to get past Serena Williams, she probably did not believe when she saw the draw against Serena Williams that she would make it to the second round. I think any win she gets at this point, she will just take it.
Yeah, she got it probably not the way she wanted to get it, because it didn't seem as though she earned it, because her opponent was injured in the first place. Now, we're going to see reactions to this match and to what happened to Serena Williams from Roger Federer and Coco Gauff, who were amongst the first to react to the news of her limping off the court.
We've just seen Serena Williams, unfortunately, have to retire after slipping. Is it? Yeah, yeah. It's it's very sad. Is it substantially more slippery under the roof? What do you feel about the condition?
Well, as I was walking out, the referee asked me how I was feeling about the court, and I said, I think the court plays normal, as we know it. I do feel it feels a tad more slippery maybe under the roof. I don't know if it's just a gut feeling, and you do have to move very, very carefully out there. And if you push too hard in the wrong moments, you do go down, So I do feel it's drier during the day. There's got to be, with the wind and all that stuff, it takes the moist out of the grass. But this is obviously terrible.
But yeah, with Serena, I mean, it was hard for me to watch that. I'm a big fan of her, even though I'm a competitor now, but she's the reason why I started to play tennis. So it's hard to watch any player get injured, but especially her. It was
They're drawing attention to the slippery surface, and Serena wasn't the only one that fell victim to it. Adrian Manarino, who was Roger Federer's opponent, also fell on that surface, or rather sprained his knee because of that surface.
I think Federer mentioned something like that in his post-match interview about the fact that the early days at Wimbledon, when a lot of players have not gotten to stomp on the grass, is very slippery and soft. And we saw that with Manarino, who gave Federer a real test. It was up 2-1 at the end of the third set, and Federer was able to battle back 6-2 in the fourth, and eventually Manarino's leg gave in. But you can understand Coco Gauff, like we just heard. Serena Williams is the reason she started playing tennis, and it's very difficult to see any competitor get injured, but most importantly for her, her hero, her idol, is out of the tournament. Technically, yes, her chances of winning Wimbledon are better now that Serena is not there. Yeah. But I think this is going to improve going forward. Federer has talked about how if the games go on, the Wimbledon grass becomes a lot less slippery. So hopefully we see less of the withdrawals and more of great tennis.
Yes, Damilojo, I know it's easy to make excuses, but what do you think that this whole surface thing is something that should be looked at again and again?
So, I mean, I don't think we've seen, first of all, the fact that Wimbledon...
I mean, two people have gone down because of it. I mean, what more do you need?
Wimbledon didn't happen in 2020 because of the pandemic. So I think a lot of players are overly excited on courts. They're happy to be back, whether it's center court or whichever of the other courts, and they want to try as much as possible to impress. But we know for the likes of Serena Williams and Roger Federer, they are not faced by this kind of stage. So,
speaking of Federer, sorry to interrupt you, that's the match there between Roger Federer and Adrian Manarino, right? So, and we know that he survived a massive scare against him before advancing to the second round when the Frenchman retired with a knee injury after slipping on court. Now, just to quickly run you through the match, it was poised at 6-4, 6-7, 3-6, 6-2, with the 8-time Wimbledon champion forcing a fifth set before Manarino, who was celebrating his 33rd birthday on Tuesday. Happy birthday to him.
Yeah,
pity he had to celebrate it that way by losing. But Federer was serving with a 4-2 lead in the fourth set when the 41st ranked Manarino slipped while attempting to return and twisted his right knee. Now, the Frenchman received medical attention on center court. That's the incident.
Yeah.
That's what happened. That's terrible.
That's not good. You never want to see that. You never want to see that. It's heartbreaking for every player. It's the most crushing way to have to leave a tournament, especially a tournament as big as Wimbledon. And of course, he will not remember his 33rd birthday fondly, but I mean, the sport must go on. And hopefully as the days come by, we get to see less of this and more of great tennis.
And Federer, just about 6 years older than him, now has another chance to continue to cement his legacy in the sport.
Yeah, especially when the likes of Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic are as close as they've ever been. Federer is looking to see if he can go outrightly now and be the only man with 21 Grand Slams, because Nadal has 20 and Djokovic has 19.
Now let's look at someone who's also trying to write his name in gold. It's Daniel Medvedev, who could easily have been caught cold in his Wimbledon first round match also on the same day. It was a chilly, it was a damp evening at the Old England Club. And it showed he's not just a fair weather player because he did do his thing. He was playing against Struff, and his opponent didn't have the easiest of days.
Yeah, I mean, Jan-Lennart Struff is an exciting opponent. He's a German that's been around for a really long time. And Daniil Medvedev seems to struggle on courts that are not hard courts. and he was able to survive this one, eventually going on to win it. And I think he's high as world number 2. He's the first person outside the likes of Djokovic, Nadal, Federer, and Murray to actually make it to world number 2 in almost 15 years. So hopefully he can consolidate on this and actually have a deep run at Wimbledon.
You think he'll be one of the greats at the end of the day?
I'm really skeptical about the younger generation. Those who are born in the late 90s, they seem to always bust out on the scene, but when it gets to the crunch moments, he has lost an Australian Open final to Djokovic, and I still think something is lacking there. Even though of all of them, I feel like he's the most mentally resilient. But if he gets to play Djokovic in the final because they are separated by the draw, it's going to be a very, very difficult. Especially if he gets there at all.
From there to Shapovalov, the 10th seed from Canada, Denis Shapovalov. He needed just 5 sets to edge German veteran Philipp Kohlschreiber. Wow, Frenchman Richard Gasquet set up a second-round encounter with Roger Federer after beating Japan's Yuichi Sugita 7-6, 4-6, 6-2, 6-1. I was going to say that I heard you mention the new generation or the newer generation, but if you look at the big three, as I'll call them, Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal, do you think anyone is going to breast that tape?
So, I mean, we saw at the US Open last year, Dominic Thiem won, and he was the first man in such a long time, I think since Murray in 2016, to actually win a Grand Slam that wasn't either Djokovic, Nadal, or Federer. What I would say is the younger generation are getting closer. They are getting closer. We've seen situations where they're playing finals. It's no longer a Djokovic, Nadal, Federer, Nadal, or Djokovic, Federer final. The likes of Tsitsipas have made it to a final. Zverev has made it to a final. Medvedev has made it to a final. It's time for that next step. So I think 2021 is done as regards the younger generation winning the Grand Slam. Maybe 2022, because Djokovic is looking like he's not ready to let down at all.
Speaking of 2021, it's just 23 days to the Olympics kicking off. And wow. It's incredible. We're going to count it down for you. But basically, all the countries who thought that Japan wouldn't get their act together now finally have to be happy that it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the Euros, which I'm sure we'll come to in a bit, that was delayed by a year. And a lot of people are looking forward to the Olympics. Of course, there's still a lot of cloud. Some people think from the humanitarian perspective it shouldn't hold. But it's good to see that Japan, the prime ministers, the organizers have been talking about how they are ready. And 23 days is just a little over 3 weeks. And the whole world is getting ready. The Olympics is a major tournament. And it's good to see that in less than a month, we'll officially commence Tokyo 2020 in 2021.
It's quite a challenge for Tokyo, quite a challenge for Japan because of the pandemic. And they have to make sure that all the measures are in place to protect the athletes and the spectators that will be on the ground.
Absolutely, they've done that already. You can only have people from Japan. You can't have fans from overseas. So it already shows you that they're trying to avoid a situation where whatever variant comes in from another country. I'm sure people will be tested. Those who have been vaccinated already would obviously have a chance to be at this game. But it's also good for the athletes and the competitors, the fact that they will have fans there. A lot of them have spoken about how it's a totally different dynamic when you're playing without fans. So why not have a wonderful tournament with fans in there, and let's have a spectacle.
Now, we have certain Nigerian ex-Olympians, Victor Ikpeba, the footballer, as well as Chuka Chukwumerije, the taekwondo impresario. Yeah. So we're going to be hearing from them on what their impressions are concerning Tokyo 2021.
Personally, with the soccer tournament in 96, 25 years ago, was historic. In a lot of ways, it was a Nigerian success and African success in soccer. So I'm here tonight with my teammate, Emmanuel Babayaro, and the other Olympians here this evening. Brings great memories of Nigerian participation in the Olympics. So really done well. We've come of age when it comes to the Olympics. So it's not a finished business if we keep on talking about what we achieved 25 years ago. But that achievement brought a lot of smiles to Nigerians 25 years ago, brought unity into this country. So it was a privilege to be part of that talented squad of players that went to America to conquer. So it's a special memory. The Olympic tournament comes with a lot of Olympic spirit, The Olympics was created for humans to compete, come together and bond. So I wish them best of luck. And Nigerians will be hoping that we come back with some medals. So expectation is very high, but the spirit of the Olympics is to compete. So I'm sure Nigerians will be looking forward to the Olympics, especially after what happened with the COVID. The Olympics being postponed to this year. So wishing our boys and girls the best of luck.
And I've been to 3 Olympics. I started in Athens. I was a 19-year-old. Then I was in Beijing 2008, where I won the bronze. I was the first from sub-Sahara Africa. Then, of course, I went to London, And I firmly believe that the Olympic creed summarizes effectively what it's all about. When it says it's not about participating in the Olympics, it's not about winning the Olympics, but participating in the Olympics. And just like it's not about the triumph, but the struggle in life, And it talks about, it's not about having conquered, but having fought well, And the Olympics is about inclusion. It's about tolerance. It's about peace. It's about unity. And I personally experienced it in all the Olympic game villages. You were there, you saw countries everywhere. So you see North Korea, you see South Korea, you see Iraq, you see Israel, Iran. Everybody was there, And you find out that all the athletes just wanted to compete. They just wanted to live their dreams. And I think it was a beautiful message.
It is a good message. Chukwumeri J is talking about competition, being a part of it, as opposed to winning it. But don't you think that, what's your view as far as having competed so many times at the Olympics, you begin to bring in the laurels?
I don't think anybody goes into any competition without realistically harboring dreams of winning. Like you will go into any competition, even any walk of life, and you want to actually come back with something. Participation is fine, it's good, it's a major milestone that you get to qualify for the Olympics. But I think he spoke about how he was able to win bronze. I know a lot of Nigerians who really want Team Nigeria to not just win a medal, but win gold. I'm one of them. I feel like hopefully the basketball team, both the men and the women, can do us proud. I think also for wrestling, Oduayo Adekuroye, hopefully she can bring a medal home. It's a case of, yes, it's fine, we're going to the Olympics, we have over 60 athletes going to the Olympics, but the fact that we have that high of a number, 200 million people are waiting back here in Nigeria to make sure that at least when you look at that medal table, green, white, green is showing there.
And Damiloju, people make a lot of song and dance about how Nigeria doesn't prepare enough or get enough government backing as far as preparations go for the Olympics. What's your view? And how do you think that will impact on our performance in this edition? Not
to sound cliche, but poor preparation, proper preparation prevents poor performance. On the flip side, if you don't prepare properly, most likely you won't have as good as a performance. But also, I think the preparation can be better. I really think it can. We see countries who prepare for 2 Olympics ahead. For Nigeria, we're not there yet. I don't think we're as bad as we used to be, but we're certainly not as good as we should be. Maybe the fact that the Olympics was postponed for a year gave us a little more time. We just saw some of our athletes, the mixed 4x400 meters, qualifying with the final event. But hopefully, like I said earlier, we give ourselves a good showing. If it's based on preparation alone, I don't think we stand a chance. But of course, we know that the Nigerian spirit is resilient and we're extremely talented. Hopefully, we get some medals back here.
And hopefully we will.
Yeah.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back with sport action from the NBA. Please stay with us. Welcome back from those highlights of Wimbledon. You're watching Sports This Morning on Channels Television. I'm Olumide Macaulay. Riding shotgun is Damiloju Saliu, sports analyst par excellence. I always wanted to say that. Okay, and it was the Bucks versus the Hawks in the Eastern Conference of the NBA in the USA. The Bucks got bucked by the Atlanta Hawks, 110, to 8.
Actually.
Mm-hmm. And what happened that made it worse for them was Giannis Antetokounmpo suffered a knee injury as the Milwaukee Bucks slumped to a series-leveling defeat against their opponents in the Eastern Conference on Tuesday.
Not good for Giannis and the Bucks whatsoever. The first thing is, at no point in the game were the Bucks ahead. They were, of course, when you start the game, you're level at 0-0, but they were level at 3 points. And by the end of the third quarter, they were about 25 points adrift of the Atlanta Hawks. And it was a major blow, the fact that Giannis had to leave in the third quarter, because at the end of the game, only 2 Bucks players outscored Giannis, Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, and they both shot 35%. That is not good enough. Giannis, by the time he came off the court, shot 70%. So that's already the same percentage as both of them combined. And it shows that the Bucks, once again, it always raised their ugly head. The supporting cast is not doing enough for Giannis. In total, the Bucks shot 39%. That's their worst shooting percentage in this whole series. Game 1, when they lost, about 46%. The 2 games, they won 52 and 51. But early hours of this morning was just not good enough. And despite the fact that Atlanta Hawks didn't have their best player, Trae Young, on court, they were still able to lead throughout. And now it's a major issue for the Bucks going into Game 5. With Giannis likely to miss out on that particular one, they might just have blown the series.
Now, what happened with Paul George's team, where they pulled one back?
Yeah.
Was it an echo of that?
Well, for the Atlanta Hawks, it's a big boost for them. Like I said earlier, Trae Young was not in this game at all, and they were able to get a win, a domineering performance. They absolutely dominated the Bucks. And if Giannis is missing from the next 2 games, I find it very difficult to see a situation where the Bucks actually get the better of Atlanta Hawks. The only bit of advantage that they have is they're seeded higher. So Game 5 is in Milwaukee. They are home. Game 6 will be in Atlanta. If it goes into Game 7, they will have the home advantage for Game 7. But it's very possible that we see this series done in the next 2 games because Giannis has been, without a shadow of doubt, the best Bucks player for the very better part of 3 years.
Now let's come back from the USA to Nigeria and the Nigeria Professional Football League and the fixtures that we are expecting to be played. We'll run through it for you. And for match day 30, it'll be Lobby Stars versus Heartland, Rivers United versus Plateau United, FC Ifeanyi versus Adamawa United, MFM FC versus Kanu Pillars, which is the match of the day, playing today at the Agege Stadium here in Lagos. Eyimba versus Warri Wolves, Rangers International versus Abia Warriors, Jigawa GS versus Katsina United, Sunshine Stars versus Wiki Tourists. And for the big game in Lagos today, Damiloju, Kanu Pillars, MFM FC, we're going to take a reaction quickly from the Kanu Pillars coach, Ibrahim Musa, about their chances for the game.
We lost about 4 to 5 points at home. So our target here to come and get our 3 points to consolidate the one we lost. Yeah, we always come here for business. We are not on the red team. This one is all because all match is 3 points. If you win Eyimba, 3 points. If you win Dekada, Adamawa, Jigawa is 3 points. So we are not differentiated. All match is important to us. Check the matches remaining. Now, as I say, all matches important, but Aqua has more matches, more than big matches. They play Eyimba, they play Plateau, they play Nasarawa, they play Rivers. So maybe by then they may drop some point.
My expectation right away is we are coming here for victory, because concerning the league table right away, we are third in the table. Winning the game tomorrow will take us to the higher level. So I believe coming out today, we're not coming here for draw or any other. We're coming here for winning. Meeting great players, Rabi Ali, Gambo Mohamed, Nzuba Nazumba, Kama Sekiro. Meeting them, I believe, with the encouragement and everything that brought me here, and the respect I give to them that brought me here. Passing a message to every young players out there: when you go to any place, you have to pay lower to ability to achieve what you want.
So the people of Lagos, not only the Kano Pillars fans, they should be aware that the match is going to be under COVID-19 protocols. So as a good citizen of the Nigeria, they have to abide by the rules and regulations of the Nigerian Football Federation and the LMC to ensure that they stay at home and ensure that the match played under the closed door directed by the LMC. I believe the Football Association of Lagos, particularly the Vice President of the Nigerian Football Federation, Sheyi Akinwumi, is the chairman of the State Football Association. So they have to tie their belt to ensure that they discharge their duties accordingly. I believe, according to the rules of the game, the security situation in the stadium is solely responsible of the Football Association. So I have no doubt Lagos State Football Association, they will come all out and do their job to ensure that we play a match, huge and successful one in Agege tomorrow.
Damiloju, the match between Kanu Pillars and MFM FC that they're talking about, we've heard from the Kano Pillars side. We've heard their side of the story. We haven't heard from MFMFC. But what players do you think one should look out for, firstly? And then secondly, do you think Kano Pillars playing so far away from home, an away game will impact, as well as the COVID restrictions, impact their performance?
Like we heard, I think one name screams out immediately, Rabi Ali. He's been the talisman for Kano Pillars. I know Ahmed Musa has joined Kano Pillars this season, and then the fans are really excited to have him on board. But Rabi Ali has been, he is an MPFL veteran. He has done this time and time again, and I think he's one man the MFM defense and the midfield will have to keep an eye on. To answer your second question, I think Kano Pillars will be worried about this fixture. They've not beaten MFM in the last 3 matches at MFM, and they've lost each of the last 2, even though, of course, they usually dominate MFM in Kano. And maybe the only bit of positive for them is both of them going into this game with identical form. They've only won 1 of their last 4 matches. But for MFM, it's 4 wins and a draw in their last 5 at home. For Kano Pillars, it's 3 draws and no wins in their last 5 away from home. In fact, they've lost their last 2 away matches. So MFM will be mightily confident going into this game. But Kano Pillars, they're just a point behind Aqua United, who get to play Nasarawa United, who they're level on points with tomorrow. So it means that there is a real chance. They sneak a win today in Agege and they go all the way top. And then whatever happens, one of Aqua United or Nasarawa United get to drop points. I think I want to call this as a draw because Kano Pillars have a lot to play for, but MFM have been really, really good at home in the last few games.
And on that note, let's bring in Bada Akintunde Johnson, who's joining us on the program this morning. You're welcome to the program. Where are you?
Hi, morning, Olumide. Good morning, everyone.
Now, yeah, it's good to have you. Are you as optimistic as Damiloju is of MFM's dominance, even though he says that at the end of the day it might be a draw because of Kano Pillars' persistence?
I think MFM are favorites, to be honest, pretty much a home game. Kano Pillars are definitely one of the better sides in the league. This is one of the games that the fans ordinarily should be going out to watch. It's a top draw, to solid teams, but I think MFM are definitely light edge. Their form also is a very, very good watch. Unfortunately, the fans can't enjoy it.
Yes, indeed. This is the match to watch, isn't it? Isn't this the Man United versus Liverpool match in Nigeria?
Well, I mean...
Maybe not so much.
Maybe not so much, but
okay.
of course, of the games, without a doubt, for week 30 games,
yeah.
Aqua United and Nasarawa United that is happening tomorrow is the biggest game. That's first versus second. But for the games on Wednesday, yes, MFM and Kano Pillars is the game to watch because, of course, a lot of people are close to the Lagos team, and Kano Pillars are one of those teams. Bada talked about it. They are the traditional, really good teams in the MPFL. So just expect a spectacle. Unfortunately, of course, fans should not be at the stadium, but I'm sure the way they've been supporting the clubs throughout the season for over 28 games, they probably will do the same today.
And now let's hear from the Minister of Sports in Nigeria, Sunday Dare, who will be speaking on football, the Super Eagles, and the coach, Gernot Rohr.
Well, I'm sure you know quite well I'm an advocate of home-based players because I've seen so many of them play and the talents abound. And since I became minister, I've been an advocate, insisting that we must have a blend of foreign-based and home-based players. Recall about 3 months ago after the Benin qualifier, we had a meeting in my office with the NFF, and part of the things we reiterated was the need for the technical advisor to pay attention to our local league, the Premier League especially, to identify our stars, our talents, and then blend them into the Super Eagles. It's important that we just don't assemble foreign-based players and then use them. We want a technical person who will build a team, not just assemble for the purpose of playing a game. And when you build a team, it's a blend of home-based players and foreign-based players. I'm happy this is happening. I am not surprised. It's something we want to happen. It's been the culture and tradition of our football development. I'm sure this one will go there and exhibit their talents, and I'm sure they will keep them as a nucleus that will blend eventually with the other Super Eagles players, Team A. It's important that we will take the NFF. The NFF needs to call Gernot Rohr to order, because we cannot have a technical coach who would discriminate amongst our players. They are football players. They have talents. You cannot discriminate. His attitude towards home-based players is unacceptable. It is negative to our football development in this country. And I call on the NFF to call him to order. I call on the NFF to hold him by the contents, by the letter of his contract. But beyond that, he needs to shut up and do the work for which he was hired to do. He talks too much.
The words of the Minister of Sports, Sunday Dare. Now, we're going to ask you, Bada Akintunde Johnson, who we thank for being with us on the program, your reaction to this by the Sports Minister. Very strong words. Firstly, is it true that Gernot Rohr, what he's accusing him of favoritism? And then secondly, was it right for him to go on national TV and ask the NFF to jump in? He's a sports minister. Couldn't he have given him a call? Or what's the protocol?
So clearly, the minister has something personal against the manager of the national team. Those words are obviously not carefully chosen words, or carefully chosen to call out an individual that, as you said, he could have been speaking to privately. Maybe he had private conversations that didn't yield any sort of results, and is irritated, is upset, and is come on national TV to show that. I don't think that's right. I don't think that you should resort to doing that. But I don't know what has gone on behind the scene. But back to the subject that he was discussing. Now, let's be absolutely clear. The senior national team is no training ground for any individual, local-based or foreign-based. The Nigerian senior national team, the Super Eagles as it's called, is a team that should be populated by the best Nigerian footballers who are eligible to play for Nigeria or represent Nigeria, regardless of where they play in the world. If the minister can ascertain that the home-based players have the quality to be chosen above their foreign-based counterparts, then he has a point. But you and I know that you can't compare the quality of football that is played in a local league with the quality that is obtainable in Europe. And Nigeria has one of the highest number of international players within the international football space, playing in Europe, playing in other parts of the world. And so, per time, chances are that you're always going to find 30, 40 persons who are better footballers, who are better exposed, who have better football education than the ones at home. Now, let me break it down a bit more fundamentally. In Europe or in America, where most of the guys that end up playing for our national team play football, the structure, the developmental structure in place means that before they get to the top level, these guys have racked up active minutes on the pitch between 5,000 to 10,000 hours. I repeat, between 5,000 to 10,000 hours of playing organized football from the 8th grade levels right up to the senior national team level. You don't even have organized football below the Nigerian National League. Hardly. So I don't know, why the minister is upset. In this case, if the minister is asking the senior national team manager to pick players just because they play in Nigeria as a way of developing them, then he's asking him to destroy or go against the principle of meritocracy. And that's one of the problems we have in this country. Let's stop being emotional about things. The best people should represent us. I don't care whether they play in Mars or in Venus. You can't accuse the national team manager of discriminating against the local league when there's the CHAN, there's the championship for Africa for for national teams populated by African-based players, if any of them proves himself worthy enough, of course he can play for the Super Eagles. Of course he should play for the Super Eagles. The guy who plays for Enyimba, Udeme, or what's his name? I can't remember his other name now. I personally have been an advocate of getting him to play for the national team. And, I think he's featured in some of the last few games because clearly he has something that we've been missing in the national team, which is, that creative spark. He can play as a number 10, low center of gravity, great skill set. He can pick a pass. He can score his fair share of goals. And the national team manager, to my own mind and in my own reckoning, has given him a fair enough chance. You can't ask the national team manager to not invite players who are better in the position just because there are certain players who are based at home. No, that's not how it works anywhere in the world. If we fixed our local game or our local league, it would have a better chance of producing the number of players we want to represent us as a national team. Look at South Africa. The Premier Soccer League in South Africa is well organized, sponsored. The quality of football is acceptable. So it is not out of place that you find a huge population of South African national team players, the Bafana players, playing in the PSL in South Africa.
Couldn't be more succinct.
I think that
you couldn't be more.
Minister the minister is getting things a bit mixed up. If you want a strong representation from the local league in the national team, fix up the local league. Fix it up. Lay the structures in place. Get a sponsor.
Let me bring Damilojo in now.
Get private individuals running the club.
You couldn't be more clear and succinct about this. Do you concur? In just a moment, so we can turn our attention to the Euro 2020s.
I agree 100%. I'll just pick up on two things quickly. Talked about the CHAN tournament, the last 3 CHAN tournaments, the one that happened, the 2020 edition, we didn't qualify at all. In 2018, we got to the final, were hammered by Morocco. In 2016, we did not qualify out of the group stage. That is the tournament for players who are home-based to represent the national team. Yeah. If we are struggling in that tournament, it goes a long way in saying the quality of the players in our league. And he mentioned the South African League. We've had Mamelodi Sundowns, a South African team, win the CAF Champions League recently. Kaizer Chiefs, another South African team, are into the final. So if the South African team is hugely populated by players in the local league, you can understand that they're doing very well in the highest competition in Africa for clubs. So let us not, because these players play at home, think that they have an automatic ticket or there should be an automatic quota for them. No. They need, if they are not good enough, if all our best players are in the leagues abroad, then by all means, we will have no home-based players in the Super Eagles.
Now, speaking of gunning for the finals, 2 teams are looking in that direction at the Euro 2020s, and that will be England and that will be Ukraine, who both defeated their opponents yesterday. England 2-0 winners over Germany, Sweden losing 1-2 to Ukraine by that last gasp effort. And it was a close one, wasn't it? Between Ukraine and Sweden. Let's talk about that first.
It was a fantastic game. It was a really fantastic game. I really, really, really do feel for Sweden. It's literally the worst time to concede. You've been able to hold on for 90 minutes, and then you've held on for the 30 minutes regulation time in extra time, and you concede in stoppage time of extra time. I'm sure the coaches were already penning down their 5 takers for the penalties and all whatnot. But credit must go to Ukraine. They've had a decent tournament. I know they finished third in the group, but it's been, no, I think, was this second? I think they finished second they finished third in their group, actually. Yeah. And they become the third place team to make it through to the quarterfinals. Portugal are the only third place team that didn't make it. Coincidentally, Portugal were the only third place team that made it to the quarterfinals at the last Euros. Yeah. But credit must go to Ukraine. Zinchenko, Yamalenko has been involved in 5 of the 7 goals that Ukraine have scored so far. And I know a lot of people are talking about it coming home with England. We'll get to England in a bit, but they have to be wary. This Ukraine side are a potential banana peel.
Yes, and a side that is touted by themselves as being dangerous is England, and they said as much. But we'll get that reaction from Bada Akintunde Johnson on the results of that match after the break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Harry Kane and Raheem Sterling turned out to be the usual suspects for England as they fired home their country in the 2-0 win against Germany at the Euro 2020s to seal a place in the quarterfinals. Sterling struck with 15 minutes left in a tense last 16 tie at the Wembley after Kane clinched England's first knockout stage victory over Germany since 1966. Now, Gareth Southgate is probably very happy for those who had criticized him that he was handling the team the wrong way. Bada Akintunde Johnson is on hand with us. Bada, what is your reaction to their performance, the English team, in this match? And Germany, how come they couldn't even get a goal in?
Well, this German team is the weakest German team I've seen in a very long while. Since they won the World Cup, it's been a decent. They've been declining at an alarming rate. And it's no surprise that they haven't actually hacked it at this competition. Struggled to win one game, and I think drew two in the group stages. I knew England was going to be too much for them yesterday. The English team was going to be too much for them yesterday. I predicted an English win. But credit to Southgate, like you said. The British press gets overexcited too easily. Following that draw against Scotland, they went to town making the song and dance of England's lack of creativity and whatnot. But if a team is not conceding goals, even if they score just one, they will win. And England, if I'm not mistaken, is the only team left in the competition that hasn't conceded a goal so far. They've won 2 games 1-0 and another one 2-0, and they drew 0-0. And on the strength of that impregnable defense, they can build a championship bid. They can go for this title. They are genuine contenders because it's just so difficult to create chances against them. Even when Harry Maguire was not playing in the first few games, between John Stones and Tyrone Mings, and of course the fullbacks, there was such coordination, such assuredness about the way they play, such call it conviction. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. And yesterday their game was super convincing. They try to build from the back. There's a lot of pace. Raheem Sterling was a nightmare to deal with all game. In the midfield areas, the Leeds guy keeps impressing. Bukayo Saka didn't exactly have a brilliant game, but his direct running was always going to mean that the Germans couldn't really venture forward with reckless abandon. They had to keep an eye on Sterling, on the speed stars. And when Jack Grealish came in the second half, his pace, his eye for the pass just proved a bit too much for the German team with a few old, tiring legs these days. Muller had their best chance after Sterling had put England in front and should have scored, but he missed. But then even if he had scored, I don't see a way Germany could have won that game. They didn't create enough. I said from the very beginning of this competition that I didn't think that they had enough cutting edge. Bringing Muller back wasn't going to solve that. They lacked the presence of, a finisher like a Harry Kane. Did
you come? Sorry to interrupt you. Are you coming to this conclusion because they won their match against Germany, or were you one of those who was skeptical of their performance before the match?
No, I wasn't skeptical about their performance before the match. This English team is populated by some of the most successful players at club level. It's no surprise that English teams keep doing well continentally. So these guys have a lot of exposure. They racked up a lot of years. This particular national team is actually full of winners at club level, even at junior international level. England won on the 17 World Cup, won on the 20 World Cup, I think some 3-4 years ago. The likes of Phil Foden have come through those development teams. So they've got talent in abundance. They've got belief. They don't fear people anymore. And coming up against this weak German team was their best chance in 55 years to banish the demon of never beating German teams in major championships. So I think it was a deserved win. I mean, there was only going to be one winner. The Germans didn't look like to score. The English, with their pace and their direct running and the creativity in midfield areas, were always going to fashion out chances.
Are you that generous? Well, let's hear from Damiloju now about his
I think
impression.
England can be considered favourites in this competition.
Are you that generous with your assessment of the England national team?
I think they've improved. I think they're giving a lot of stick. I think a lot of times the fans are easy to turn on the English national team. Even when they're winning games, they talk about, oh, boring, 1-0. But like Bada said, England are the only team left in the competition yet to concede a goal.
Okay.
And I do not like how the English press always jump on any single type of hype. I think that's why they get
they like
it's
their
coming
people.
home songs already out there. But there are a few things that can encourage England fans. They've
They're
never
just
lost,
being patriotic.
Yeah, they've never lost
They're
a
being
game that
patriotic.
Raheem
They're
Sterling
supporting
has
their
scored.
team.
They've
Yeah.
never lost a game that Raheem Sterling has scored. They've won all 13. This is the first time since 1966 that they'll start a major tournament with 4 straight clean sheets. And we know they won the World Cup in 1966. And then at Wembley, they're undefeated in their last 14 matches in either the World Cup or the Euros.
Yeah.
And if they get past Ukraine, they play their remaining 2 games at Wembley. So I'm not saying they're going to win the Euros, but I think it's high time we give them some credit.
So let's see some of the fixtures that we're expecting at Euro 2020. We got Switzerland, we got Spain, we got Switzerland versus Spain, and Belgium versus Italy. Spain versus Switzerland on paper looks like a Spanish fixture, right? We also got Czech Republic versus Denmark, and Ukraine versus England. So I think England got the luck of the draw. What do you think?
There are no easy fixtures at this stage anymore. There are no easy fixtures. Ukraine are a very tricky side. Switzerland defeated France, so Spain will not underrate them. The other match, Czech Republic against Denmark, that's a match between 2 teams that nobody saw at the quarterfinal stage, so it's very hard to predict. And of course, Belgium versus Italy is the pick of the bunch.
All right.
That is a fantastic game, an attacking side, even though there's no Hazard and De Bruyne, and Italy, who have been really good defensively.
Okay, a parting shot from Bada Akintunde-Johnson. Nice hat, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
What do you think? What if you were to? Okay, not a betting man. If you were to ask, which of those matches would you like to watch? And as your parting shot, what should we look forward to?
Definitely Italy, Belgium, and I suspect whoever wins that game goes on to win the competition. But let me also add the side note that England would never find or get a better chance to win a major championship since 1966 than now. Most of the usual suspects have been knocked out. The field is sort of open and level. So apart from Belgium and Italy, the rest of the teams are sort of on the same level, if you ask me. So I think, like I said, the winner of the game, Italy-Belgium, will go on and be eventual champion.
Thank you so much for being a part of the show today, Bada Akintunde-Johnson, sports analyst, for your incisive contributions to the program this morning.
Thanks for having me.
And Damiloju, well, I think we're going to have to wrap it up and call it a day. Thank you also for being a part of the program. As far as the Euro 2020s are concerned, that is the match to watch, right?
Yeah.
Belgium versus Italy.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on Sports This Morning.
No problemo. And that's the program this morning. Thanks for watching. I'm Olumide Macaulay. See you next time.